our Republican House majority has failed completely.
Russian stooge Marjorie Taylor Greene is acting more and more unhinged by the day, and it's costing Ukrainian lives. It's causing a slow erosion of our norms. It's pissing off moderates on both sides, and it's blocking any sort of progress that could be made. I'm going to break this all down. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, and comment a blue heart. Also, I want to substantiate my beliefs that she is a useful idiot for Russia, always peddling Russian disinformation and stopping any sort of aid from being sent to our allies over there. But first, watch this clip of her saying she wishes they finished their objective on January 6th, meaning she wishes they would have successfully stopped the peaceful transfer of power. She wishes they would have successfully subverted the will of the American people to ultimately entrench Donald Trump's power even further. Take a look at this clip.
I also serve on the Oversight Committee, everyone. And we have been leading the investigation into the impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden. You all know how I feel. If I had it my way, we would have impeached him a long time ago. Actually, if I had it my way, we would have been successful in our objection on January 6th, and he wouldn't even be president. I'm getting better, though. We'll get there.
The question is, impeach Joe Biden for doing what? Because they spent months and months with this impeachment inquiry, and they didn't even know what they were charging him for. They were essentially working backwards from the idea that Joe Biden did something wrong. Now let's just figure out what he did wrong. And over, we saw all of their evidence crumble in front of them. Remember when they kept saying that Alexander Smirnov was going to be their star witness, their silver bullet who would tie this whole case together and bring Joe Biden down? But once it came out that he was effectively a Russian asset who got all of his information straight from Russia, they said, oh, we didn't even know the guy. Who's Smirnov? He wasn't even important to our case. It's just hypocrisy, hypocrisy, hypocrisy.
We should be prepared to hold on and do what is right, to do what our voters sent us to do. But that has not happened this Congress. As a matter of fact, our Republican House majority has failed completely.
I mean, when Moscow Marge is right, she's right. The Republican majority has been an absolute failure, but largely because of her. I mean, I know the rest of the Republicans suck too, but her and the Freedom Caucus have been threatening to oust Speaker of the House Mike Johnson if he gets anything substantial done. If he passes Ukraine aid, they will oust him. And she says that she's there to represent the will of her constituents, but do your constituents want you wasting taxpayer dollars while you go on this publicity tour touting this failed MAGA experiment? I'd say no. Your voters voted for you to legislate in favor of them, to represent their interests in Congress, Marjorie, not for you to go around on this social media tour while wasting their dollars and getting as much attention as you can. None of these Republican politicians care about America, and they prove this time and time again. They prove this every single day. A glaring example is their lack of care for Ukraine, especially Marjorie's, which really makes me mad because not only is she costing Ukrainian lives, but she is walking around America spouting Russian propaganda, spouting talking points straight from the Kremlin, and further contributing to this ecosystem of Russian disinformation that America has been dealing with. Because you can bet for damn sure that Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping want to place their thumb on the scale of one of the most important American elections to date. And having U.S. politicians like Marjorie, like Vivek Ramaswamy, even like the big guy Donald Trump himself, having them go around spouting Kremlin talking points, spouting Russian disinformation is such a win. They know if they can get Donald Trump back into office, he will weaken our alliances with NATO. He will pull out of agreements that benefit America in the long term because he is so impulsive. And Marjorie is only playing into that. Watch this clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene once again doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin by saying that Ukraine is waging a war against Christianity while Putin and Russia are trying trying to protect it. And I just want to debunk this clip before I even play it. Since the start of the war, Russia has destroyed or damaged over 100 churches in Ukraine. On top of that, in Russia proper and the territories it occupies, Russia persecutes many religions, including denominations of Christianity. Putin does not care about religion or Christianity or Western ideals. Putin cares about advancing Russia's interests through the strategic use of realpolitik. Play the clip.
He's talking about, confiscating assets from the Russian people, just like you said. Well, that's pretty much illegal. They're having a lot of problems with that, and Europe does not want to do it, and that's where most of those assets are. But let's talk about what this really is, Steve. This is a war on Christianity. The Ukrainian government is attacking Christians. The Ukrainian government is executing priests. Russia is not doing that. They're not attacking Christianity. As a matter of fact, they seem to be protecting it. So that's something else that's clear and obvious to many people that are looking closely at what's going on.
Are you looking closely at what's going on? Because you seem to have less knowledge about this conflict than my 14-year-old cousins who get their politics off of TikTok. Marjorie cannot stop defending Putin and Russia, and it makes me wonder where her interests truly lie. I mean, the Republican Party of 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, would be absolutely disgusted at the idea of letting Vladimir Putin go on a rampage throughout Europe and maybe throughout Ukraine and just sitting back and watching it happen. When you fail to learn history, I guess you're doomed to repeat it. And Republicans need to study a little bit about 1938 and what happens when you let an authoritarian regime march through neighboring countries. Take a look at this clip of me talking to my friends from Kyiv and explaining the situation on the ground in America to them.
Donald Trump obviously holds pro-Russian position, more pro-Russian position than any American politician right now. Do like half of American voters believe this?
So at a fundamental level, all of these people, all these Republicans keep using this phrase, America first. We need to put America first. And I explained, like in that clip, this is exactly how we put America first. So these people have essentially been misled into voting against their own interests and crippling the global order that we've built over the past few decades with NATO. And it's just it sounds like a cop-out, but again, Russian disinformation is so pervasive that it's struck the entire Republican Party. It's convinced them that NATO is this expansionary state that goes and takes over countries. They're convinced that NATO provoked this war. I mean, I was talking to a Republican the other day. They were like, NATO just exists to stop Russia. It's like, it's bad. It exists to contain Russia. But contain Russia from doing what? Invading countries in Europe? Like that is why NATO exists. To act like containing Russia is a bad thing is just scary. So all of these Americans have been psyoped into thinking that NATO and to thinking that Ukraine are not our allies. And I think it's a really scary position that we found ourselves in. They're always asking me, oh, what about when Gorbachev and James Baker didn't want to go 1 inch east or whatever? Like, that's not a real thing. That is straight from the Kremlin. Again, it's not real. Why do you peddle these talking points that are straight from the Kremlin?
Because American politicians are peddling this. I mean, literal American congressmen and senators are spreading Russian propaganda straight out of Russia, just without even changing the words. I don't know, with Google Translate in Russian.
It's really tasty. It's like these tasty phrases. It's an easy way out. Who's at fault? NATO expansion sounds yummy. We shouldn't dig any deeper into these historical inaccuracies and years of invasions and murders, because that's so difficult. Let's just make it easy. NATO expansion.
So to Republicans, when my friends who are on the ground in Ukraine are living through this firsthand tell you that Russian disinformation is seeping into the media you consume, you should listen to them. They know what Russian disinformation looks like. They've been combating it their whole life. And by the way, you should subscribe to Ukrainian Toronto Television. I'll link it in the description below. They're based out of Kyiv, even though they're called Toronto Television. But the moral of this video is this Republican Russia party needs to stop. Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to be ousted from Congress before Mike Johnson is. And yeah, my name is Mockler. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment a blue heart, subscribe, and most importantly, have a great rest of your day.